Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Samanita Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paskachada Sadharani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. The motivation or inspiration behind this was because some weeks back it was the appearance day of Madhvacharya, one of the great teachers in our line. Where'd everybody go? Jeez. Go get them, Ram. I made this for them. It matters. We should know what we're doing. Somebody yell fire or something? What happened? Huh? Yeah. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. You know, when I was in Los Angeles, 1970, new devotee, Prabhupada was trying to teach us the Sanskrit, and we were so many things. Nobody was following, nobody could pick up on it. Prabhupada would quote verses that he'd tried to teach us, and and Prabhupada said, I'm writing these books for you. Prabhupada said, just sit. Prabhupada said, I'm writing these books for you. He said, you know, if someone asks you, can you explain this to me? And you say, no, I'm just selling. I'm not for reading. That's not a very good position. And if we have a foundation of knowledge, then that's what protects us against the forces of Maya and illusion and this, the different sampradayas. Mukunda, you can help me. Do you have something to write? You have your phone? No. Somebody have something they can take a note on? Because I put this together, thanks. I put this together late last night. And I'm going to think of a few things. Each of these sampradayas, like the Sri Sampradaya, Lakshmi Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya Sampradaya, is very expert at deity worship. The Rudra Sampradaya is famous for their tapasya, their austerities. And the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, which we're in, is famous for its deep scholarship and literature. So we should, and if we have that foundation of that knowledge, perfect. So I want to put in, add a slide about what each of these each sampradaya famous for. So there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradaya. Where is Jamal? Jamal's in the kitchen. Where is Damodar Kumar? Okay, so be it. The 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, there are 4. And what that means, we're going to explain. But we've got the Brahma Sampradaya, then the Rudra Sampradaya, then the Lakshmi Sampradaya, then the 4 Kumara Sampradaya. Now, what does that mean? Why do we need Sampradaya, disciplic succession? What does that matter? So, how do we know what we know, and how do we know what we know is true? What's it based on? And Jiva Goswami, and throughout the Vedic principles, there are different pramanas, or different sources of evidence. There's sense perception, there's the accumulated knowledge of the world, there's so many different pramanas, different sources of evidence. And it's considered that Shabda Brahman, or Vedic sound vibration, that transcendental knowledge which descends, it is not accumulative, it's not based on the senses, Prabhupada says if you take, let me ask you a question. If I take 0 times 0 to the 0th power, what does it equal? It's still 0. So, okay, well, I have limited senses, but we've got so many universities and so many professors, and we've built up knowledge over so many, over the eons, so many different philosophers, and we've come so far, and we've accumulated knowledge. So that's another type of evidence. But really, it's just if fool number 1, fool number 2, and fallible senses. And you can say, this is the classic example from Sariputta. You can add this one, the pole vaulter increase. I can, because the presentation is, okay, well, we can't figure out everything now, but every generation we figure out a little bit more. Used to think the world was flat, now they know the world is round, and Newton came along with physics, and then then Einstein came along, and we're working it all out. We've got string theory. It's all, gradually we're nailing down the mysteries of the universe. Well, you've made some advancement. Sure, they cured, smallpox is almost gone, or polio is almost gone. Of course, they didn't plan on COVID, and COVID's got a whole family more that are coming. This is just the beginning, Prabhus. So, I don't know, and I should look it up. I'll remember to look it up. In the 1930 Olympics, the top pole vaulting, they run over the pole, boing, they go over the bar. So 14 feet. Now, with increased training and fiberglass poles and fancy Nike shoes, I don't know what they're up to. Maybe they're up to 20. I don't know. Anybody know? We'll figure it out. Okay, so they've increased. They've made improvements. But it's within a range of limitation. Will they ever pole vault to the moon? Hey, incrementally, every year we're getting better, every generation. In 10,000 years we'll be able to pole vault to the moon. No, you won't. Like a rubber band, you can stretch it, but there comes a point that it snaps. So we are limited beings. And therefore, even you may say, Prabhupada loved it. I think. As soon as you say, I think, Prabhupada said, that's closet talk. You should just sit in the closet. I think. Who cares? And it's a shock to the independent, creative, self-made man. Who cares what you think? I think. Your thinking is, like it says here, we can't even find our car keys. We don't know how many hairs are on our head. We don't know what's happening on the other side of the wall. So many things we don't know. Well, I think. Who cares what you think? I mean, we don't say that bluntly to people. I can say it collectively because it's a shock. My personal dignity. But really, who are we? As far as I know, Prabhupada's point was, well, how far do you know? As far as I know, okay, well, be honest. We're asking, if one is honest about finding the truth, they should accept their actual position. So here it is. I think, as far as I know, in my opinion, and you can't even find your car keys. So this is why Vedic knowledge, this is the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's considered in the Vedic pantheon of truth, of knowledge, that Vedanta Sutra is the resting place. Atato Brahma Jigyasya Janmadasa Yataha. What is the absolute truth? It's a series of questions and answers, Vedanta Sutra. What is the absolute truth? The absolute truth is that which from everything emanates. So, but the commentary to understand all the different acharyas commented on Vedanta Sutra. Sankaracharya commented on Vedanta Sutra. So, at the proper commentary, the author of Vedanta Sutra himself, Srila Vyasadeva, what is his commentary on Vedanta Sutra? If you want to know something, you ask the author himself what the meaning of the thing is. He wrote it. The author, he or she wrote it. They know what the meaning is. So what is Srila Vyasadeva's commentary on the essence of Vedic truth, Vedanta Sutra? Anyone know other than Balaram and Vijay? Srimad Bhagavatam is the proper commentary. And Bhagavatam begins, first verse, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter. It is he only who first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. Teni Brahma Hriday Adikavaye. Actually, by Brahma's, it's a whole story. I don't want to take up too much time. But he's sitting in darkness on the lotus flower. He can't see where he came from. He can't find out where he doesn't know anything, which is our actual situation. And so finally, and he tries to search out the truth. Climbs down the lotus, so many different things. He can't find out the truth, the cause of all causes, who he is and where everything came from and what's going on. Which is the difference between a man and an animal. Human being and an animal. An animal just accepts, here I am, now fill my belly. Titillate my senses. But a human being says, well, how long is this going to last? And what happens? And what happens at the time of death? And where did this all come from? And do I have an obligation? Is it happening by chance? Is there a rhyme or reason? That's what makes a human being. So when Brahma could not find any of the answers to the thing, he sat in deep meditation. Anyone know, based on this picture, what then happened? Krishna plays his... He hears a sound, tapa, but then he begins his meditation. But as a result of the ripened fruit of that meditation, is Krishna plays his flute. And from his flute, it enters in Brahma's ear and into his heart, and Brahma becomes imparted with all Vedic knowledge. So that's, if you want to, classic example, I've given it before, I'll give it again. If I want to shake hands with Mukunda Charan and I'm glued to this seat, I can only reach so far. I am limited in my reach. Can I shake hands with Mukunda Charan or not? Who says yes, who says no? What do you think, Ace? You say no. Do we have any yes advocates? Oh, Ram, how are you a yes advocate? I can't move, man, I'm limited. If he takes the initiative, then it becomes easy. So if we are honest and accept our limitations, and even the limitation of accumulated knowledge, then we have to accept that the Absolute has to take the initiative. It is revelatory. It becomes revealed. It descends. So here we have Krishna speaking to Brahma. So if we want to know the truth, then we have to take advantage. So how does it come down? So there it is. There's 4 lines. And it's coming from our line from Krishna to Brahma to Madhvacharya to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Prabhupada. And there's many acharyas in that line in between. But it's coming down from Krishna to Brahma all the way down to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very simple thing. If I have extension, just like this thing is plugged in, what happens if none of the lights go on? I'm pushing all the buttons. What should I do? If I'm wondering, why is there no power in this thing? Well, I have to make sure the extension cords are connected, don't I? Is that enough? Okay, all the cords are connected. Is that enough? Based on this picture? You got to be plugged into the source. You got to be plugged into the source where the actual power is, and then all the extension cords need to be connected. So you've got to connect to Krishna, and it's got to come down through Sampradaya, through disciplic succession. So as I said, there's 4 Vaishnava lines: Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Shiva Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, and the Lakshmi Sampradaya. And the example is, on a mango tree, where will you find the best fruit? I've seen monkeys do this. Where will you find the best fruit? Will it be the low-hanging fruit? That's a big hint. Anyone want to say? Ram, coming from India. Where will you find the best fruit? Top of the tree where it gets all the nice sun. So what to do? I can shake the tree. The mangoes fall, they'll break. What do? I've seen them do this in mango season. They have a whole chain of men. One man picks, hands it to the next. I've seen monkeys do this. One picks, hands it, which shows at least within their monkey group there's some altruistic spirit or some team spirit. But one man picks from the top, one person hands to the next person, hands to the next, and it doesn't matter how many hands it comes through, you get the same mango, unbroken, undamaged, from the top of the tree to your hand by the chain. So that's the example Prabhupada gives and the Acharyas give. Now, a little history. Because we want to get to Madhvacharya. I just wanted to establish the principle of a disciplic succession and why it matters if we really want to know what's going on. So Buddha, here's Buddha, and Buddha simply taught, renounce this world. Of course, Buddha is Shiva, that's a whole other story, come again. I'm sorry, that's another story. Lord Buddha, renounce this world as a play. All there is in this, if one's honest, according to Buddha, this world is simply suffering. And, you know, it's the Four Noble Truths, that ultimately there's birth, death, disease, old age, is just suffering. And really, because of desire, you're propelling yourself through this world. If I take this charter, of course I don't know if you can see, but there is now an inside and an outside, isn't it? With this, there's a circle, there's an inside and there's an outside. So there's duality. From the oneness of this space, I've created duality. This is compared to, that's Sankaracharya. Actually, I'm off the track. We'll get to Sankara in a minute. So, Buddha, as soon as there's no more desire to propel us, there's no more reason, there's nothing that forces, we all know Buddhism. It means that one ceases to exist. It's spiritual suicide. If I have no desire, if I have no karma, there's nothing to propel me further in this material nature, and I cease to exist like a bubble that pops. I'm nothing. It's pretty depressing, actually. Nirvana, finished with all work. Prabhupada calls it spiritual suicide. And there's a reason Buddha taught that. We'll get to that in a second. Now Sankaracharya comes along because Krishna's always trying to save the jivas. Actually, Buddha's business was to get them to stop cheating using the Vedas and doing animal slaughter. So that's a whole story. So he said, forget that, you just follow me. And they got him to be a little bit pious. A little bit, okay, we'll stop eating meat, we'll follow some principles, we'll try to control our senses. So then Sankara comes along and says, wait a minute. There's the material nature and there's the spiritual nature. There is a transcendent permanent reality. Now that reality is formless. That's where we come along with this. So we've got our circle here. We've got the inside and the outside. There's duality. This represents ahankara, false ego, the sense that I have a self, that I'm an individual. Each of us think we're individuals. Well, that's just an illusion. And when you get free of that, voila, no more separation, and it all becomes one. Anyone know the simple example Prabhupada gives? And it comes actually from Jiva Goswami, and it comes from our previous acharyas. What's wrong with this example? Anybody can poke a hole in that? If it was all one, where did the false ego come from? What caused it to separate? If it's all one, then where the hell did this come from? What caused this? Why did we develop it? Who were we to develop a sense of individual identity? Where did that come from if it was all one? So, I mean, there's so many examples, reasons it's wrong. But anyway, at least it's all ultimately nothing. We literally become nothing. Well, wait a minute, you don't become nothing, you merge into the spiritual eternal identity, like rivers flowing into the ocean and the water becomes one. Whoops, we went the wrong way. What happened? How did that, what? Sorry, Prabhu. Okay, this is Sankaracharya. Now, there's these four lines were working independently of each other, these 4 Vaishnava lines. And each Acharya presented a certain picture of spiritual knowledge. Why this matters, you'll find out in a minute. So Srila Vishnu Swami, I should put an H in there, coming in the Rudra Sampradaya, he taught exclusive dependence on Krishna and spontaneous devotion. Why these things matter, you'll find out. So all of these I'll tell you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took all of these and combined them into one. Like if I take a bunch of threads and I combine it into one strong rope. So all of these elements are combined, all these different sampradayas and their essences. And where they got these essences, that's the secret you're about to find out. These essences were wound together in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from Vishnu Swami, exclusive dependence on Krishna and spontaneous devotion. From Nimbarkacharya, he's coming in the Kumara Sampradaya, shelter of Srimati Radharani and the gopis' love for Krishna. Right, fixed spelling. I've got to fix some of it because I've got Krishna, I should have it the same way. From Ramanujacharya, what were the 4 in the Lakshmi Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya they call it sometimes? Pure devotion, free from karma and jnana. You know, I do this and I get a result. You know? You have it in Christianity. If you do good works, Jesus says you can't take the kingdom of God by storm. It's not by works alone. But you need grace. So it's a famous debate. Are you saved by grace? Are you saved by works? They miss the whole point. But that's what this is talking about, karma and jnana, free from that. I love Krishna. Why do the inhabitants love Krishna? Because they love Krishna. Because they asked Prabhupada, why is Krishna blue? I was sitting there, Prabhupada said, because it is so gorgeous. People write whole purports, So because it's our natural position, because Krishna is all attractive. We love Krishna because we love Krishna, not because what we can get from Krishna. And service to the devotee. So all these different threads from these different acharyas. And Madhvacharya, from the Brahma Sampradaya, we are eternally individuals, even in liberation. Remember this idea, either we become nothing. What is it I think, therefore I am? There's a fantastic, dissembling is not the right word, but taking apart, disassembling, not dissembling, but disassembling, by Jiva Goswami in the Tat Sandarbha. You might all be a dream. I don't know if you're all a dream. They completely go mental. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, does it really make a sound? There's all this kind of stuff. So what do we actually know? I think it's Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. We all know we have Jiva Goswami says there's the seer, the seen, and the act of seeing. Each of us knows that at this moment, I have a sense of self. There's an internal world and an outside world. I'm seeing all of you and I'm processing that. There is a sense of I. So what is that sense of I? So one is it's just an illusion, and if you get rid of desire, poof, spiritual suicide. Another, what is that sense of I? Well, now you're covered by false ego, and if you become free from false ego, you'll merge into the Brahman. But here, Madhvacharya says, no. Even in liberation. That's why, you'll see it later on. So there it is. Eternally individuals, even in liberation, and service to the deity. Service to Amurti, deity of Krishna. So all of these acharyas, this is the secret, had the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What? This comes from the Sri Navadvip Mahatmya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Lord Nityananda reveals the glories of Navadvip to Jiva Goswami. So this is the book by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it doesn't, what I'm going to say now, it doesn't stand on that alone. Also, Prabhupada's books are a treasure house. All of what I'm about to say, and all that you find in Bhakti Vinod Thakur's, the hints are there, are also there in Srila Prabhupada's books. Few lines in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, few lines in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So from these three sources, what I'm about to present is confirmed. Like when you do an algebraic equation, if you do 1 point and 1 point, connect a line, the third point falls on it, then you know it's correct. So these three different sources confirm. Vishnu Swami, he taught what's called Suddha Advaita. It's purified monism. It's a whole thing. We're not going to get into it. But Lord Chaitanya appeared to him in a dream. Navadvip, Mayapur, Navadvip, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance place, has been known since time immemorial as a holy tirtha, just like Kurukshetra, Dharmikshetra. So Navadvip, so all of these acharyas at some point in their pastimes, their manifest pastimes in this planet, on the planet Earth, visited Navadvip. So when Vishnu Swami was in Navadvip, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to him in a dream. He said, keep this secret. He said, when I appear again, he told him what he wants him to teach. Those 2 points I mentioned earlier, I didn't have time to put on the slide. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, here's what I want you to teach. You teach this, keep my Leela quiet. Keep me quiet. I'll do that, because things need to be presented at the right time and place. That's, write down bamboo. Every one of the acharyas teaches according to time, place, and circumstance. They teach according to the audience. If people are deeply when there was Buddhism, then you got Sankaracharya has to teach. When you've got rank impersonalism, then you got to have Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. So according to the climate, Prabhupada came to speak about impersonalism and voidism. Everybody's philosophy, ultimately they're impersonalist. Everybody you talk to. Even the Christians who were thinkers, ultimately they also were, they're deists or whatever they are, they also impersonal. They think this idea of there's God and there's angels and there's a heaven and there's a place, that's all just for sentimental old ladies and little kids, You'd be amazed what top Christian thinkers think. So, not all of them, there are some devotional ones. But my point is that they speak according to the audience. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to each one of these, each acharya in each of these lines, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared and said, now you teach this, but don't talk about me. At the right time, when people are ready, I'll manifest. So Vishnu Swami taught Suddha, purified oneness. And keep this secret. And he said, and so you can imagine each of these acharyas gets the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave Navadvip. They want to just stay there and worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, now's not the time. You got to go. You got to get out of here. So what did they say? Can anyone guess what each of these acharyas said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was about to wind up manifesting to them, telling him, no, you're not going to see me again, go out and preach. What did they say? What would you say? You have someone you love very much, and they have to go on a trip. What do you ask them? Balaram. That's good. Don't go. Okay, that's good. When will I see you again? So each of them said, imagine the divine form of Chaitanya. We're going to describe it a little bit more in a second, what some of the acharyas saw. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't worry. When I come again, when I come to fully manifest my Leela, he told Vishnu Swami, here's what I want you to teach. And when I come again, you'll come as Sri Balabhabata. And you can read all about Balabhabata in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And just a short summary, Balabhabhatacharya, you know the story. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you have not read Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you're not regularly reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, you are not living. Why are you depriving yourself? It's like you're living on barley water. Why not have a full meal? Chaitanya Charitamrita, of course you have to understand Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a foundational knowledge necessary, but it's profound. So there's the whole pastime of the Gopal deity on top of Govardhan Hill. All the Goswamis wanted darshan. Madhavendra Puri found the deity again and installed him. It was originally carved by the great-grandson of Krishna, installed in Vrindavan, hidden, lost over time, found again by Madhavendra Puri. This deity, that Gopal deity is also known as Srinathji. The Gujaratis all love Srinathji. And Vallabhacharya is in that line. So when they talk about Pushti Marg, Vallabhacharya, Gujaratis, Prabhupada said that actually we could bring lawsuit. That is our deity. Prabhupada was joking. He was very happy with the way they worship him in Natwar. It's a long. I got a whole slideshow on that. But the point is, Vishnu Swami came again in Chaitanya Lila as Vallabhacharya, and it's that same Vallabhacharya associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Gopal deity. Nimbarkacharya taught Sudha Dvaita, which is purified duality, as opposed to purified oneness. It's a little different angle. In Mayapur, he got the darshan of Lord Shiva, because after all, he's coming in the Shiva Sampradaya. Who told him to perform austerities in a particular forest, a bilva forest. What is a bilva tree? It's bale fruit? Gotcha. It's a nice big tree. The 4 Kumaras were meditating there. So he goes there. Lord Shiva says, just imagine this scene. Here's Nimbarkacharya performing austerities in the holy place, Navadvip. Lord Shiva appears to him, says, you go over here and you meditate here. Don't worry, it'll work out. So on the order of Lord Shiva, he goes there, deep meditation. 4 Kumaras appear before him. 4 Kumaras taught him how to worship Radha and Krishna. By his worship of Radha Krishna, they actually appeared. Radha and Krishna appeared before him. And then they merged into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Radha and Krishna is Radharani, is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Krishna wonders, everyone is pleasing me and getting some happiness. But what is the greatest happiness? What is Radharani experiencing? She's happier than me. So Krishna comes to taste what Radharani is experiencing. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu combined. So he appears in Gaur Leela, Nimbarkacharya. He comes in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela as Keshava Kashmiri. Anyone know Keshava Kashmiri from Chaitanya Charitamrita and from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya? Vijay, who is Keshava Kashmiri? He traveled all over India, defeating everyone. He heard that the Pandits were very great, very learned in Navadvip. Navadvip was like Oxford. It was like a learning center. So he came, strolling on the bank one day. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was an old 14-year-old boy, something like that. 16 years old? 16-year-old boy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you're a learned Pandit. Please, can you compose some verses glorifying Mother Ganga? And Prabhupada describes, Krishnadas Kaviraj describes, like the blowing of the wind. He immediately composes 100 verses in Sanskrit glorifying Mother Ganga. That's Keshava Kashmiri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very nice, but in the 63rd verse, you made this one mistake, and there's a grammatical repetition. First off, he memorized the verse and immediately found fault in it. And he said, and then another verse, there's this analogy, and he completely smashed him. 16-year-old boy. There's a whole story. And Keshava Kashmiri was so embarrassed. You can imagine, defeated by a boy teaching grammar. Nimai Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he prayed to Mother Saraswati, why have you let me defeated? She says, don't worry, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he became Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotee, disciple. So this is Nimbarkacharya, Keshava Kashmiri. And you can read all about it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ramanujacharya, he taught Vashishta Dvaita, which is qualified monism. Don't worry, we'll get it. You're not going to be burdened by it too much. But the worship of the deity is especially stressed. In Puri, so here's Ramanujacharya. How did he meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's in Puri. Lord Jagannath tells him, go to Navadvip. When he goes to Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya reveals himself. Instructed Ramanujacharya to teach Dasya Ras, this service mood, while privately worshipping Mahaprabhu within his heart. He became Sri Ananta in Chaitanya Leela and witnessed the wedding of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lakshmi Priya. He's also Sudevi from one of the 8 gopis. So that's Ramanujacharya and how he was woven in and participated in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Last we have Madhvacharya. He was teaching Dvaita, which is monism and dualism, each independent. Lord Gauranga appeared to him in a dream in Navadvip. Said, I will accept your Sampradaya, go uproot the Mayavad's false conclusions, establish the glories of worshipping the deity. Because they're thinking, oh, Prabhupada, the impersonalists use an example. If I want to climb, suppose I want to climb up on a roof or on a platform, I'll use a ladder. And when I get to the platform, I kick away the ladder so I can never go back. So yes, we worship the deity of Krishna, or it doesn't matter what deity you worship, but by that worship, you become purified, you realize yourself, you realize your home and Om, that you are God, the cause of all causes, you're one with the Absolute, and then you kick away the ladder. So deity worship is an interim stage for purifying the senses, for becoming focused, for realizing your real impersonal self. And when you realize it, you go beyond deity worship. And you hear that. We hear it. It pops up. But no, deity worship is training us. What will we do in the spiritual world? I don't know how many of you were raised Christian, but did you get a picture of what you do in heaven? What do you do in heaven? Huh? Oh, bugle. I forgot about bugles. At least there's a little variety. It was mostly harps. And I was not a big fan of harp music. Right? And what do you do? It's like Lincoln Memorial. God's there on a big throne, and you really, he's throwing thunderbolts and, deep voice, and you're terrifying, and you have a sense of creatureliness, as Jonathan Edwards says. So there it is. You're feeling very, Well, how long can you do that for? What are the activities? I thought, geez, why do people... it's a long story, but I used to park cars for our church. And I remember these people would be so pious in church, and they would run over their grandmother to get out of the parking lot after the hour church service. Why? They wanted to go home and watch Sunday football. They wanted some action. So... But here we're learning to engage the senses in the service of the deity. We can cook for Krishna. We can go out and glorify Krishna. We can clean for Krishna. We can grow flowers for Krishna. We can paint. We can sew. All the senses can become engaged in the service of Krishna. And what will we do in the spiritual world? What are we going to be doing? Making garlands, cooking, playing with Krishna. So it trains us. It's preparing us. So all of these threads of all these different acharyas are woven in. When we say we practice Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. When we present Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, all of the different sampradayas, all of the different mystical points are woven together and presented perfectly by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So nothing is lost. Everything is perfect synthesis and presentation. We should know what we're doing. We should have confidence when we stand on Chaitanya Charitamrita and not stand on, but take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's purports, our previous acharyas. It is not light. Now this is just for fun. Now we're almost done, but this is for fun. This is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's spiritual master. This is at 24 years old, the picture on the left. This is when the day he took sannyas. Ayurveda, Shastra says that generally speaking at 24, the senses, the body is at its apex. It's the best. Anybody here 24 or younger? How old are you? Huh? Okay, you got 2 more years. After that, it's all downhill. A materialist would think, well, milk out as much as I can. But it's considered the senses are their best at 24 years. After that, it's all, try 67, my friends, almost 68. So look how, at 24 years old, Prabhupada said he kicked on the face of Maya. At the apex of potential for sense enjoyment, he took sannyas. Same age as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's godbrother, there's a picture of when Prabhupada took sannyas. Was it Narada Muni? Was the sannyas was his name? Forgetting. He was 90 whatever. And they asked Prabhupada why he was so old. Prabhupada said, better late than never. So. But at 24, that's brave. And of course, this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He's observing Chaturmas later on. So now, that was my point. So he took how to show that all the Vaishnava Sampradayas merge into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For the Madhvacharyas, the Ramanujacharyas, the Nimbarkacharya, Vishnu Swami, all these different Sampradayas, how to get them to take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Samadhi in Mayapur, and Navadvip, Mayapur actually, and across the garden, if you're looking at the Samadhi on the left, if you come across this garden, here's the end of the garden, here's the temple that he built. Now, I don't have my laser printer with me, but if you'll notice, there's the central dome, which the deities are under, but there are these four, see the four spires or chakras, shikars? Those, under each one of those is a deity of one of the four acharyas and what their lineage is. Just like of course it's beautiful and it's an expression of bhakti, but why did they make those beautiful stained glass windows? You walk through one of those medieval churches and it's moving. Why? Because most of the people were illiterate. And you could walk through that thing and you'd get a sense of Jesus' Leela, of the pastimes of the Bible, of God's power and mercy. It was a transcendent experience. So people, what do they call it? Kinetic learning. You don't just learn by hearing or by writing. The more you can combine the senses, the more it makes an impact. It's called kinetic learning. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur built this temple, and it has all the four acharyas supporting it. And what are they supporting? All the different threads come into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaching? These are the deities in that temple. Gandharvika Giridhari. Gandharvika is who? Srimati Radharani. And what does that Gandharvika mean? The best of the singers. She's a beautiful singer. And of course, who is Giridhari? We should know. Where are we? New Govardhan. Who are we looking at? There's Giridhari. So his deities, first deities he installed, Gandharvika, Giridhari, in this temple. Now only a few slides, this is just for fun. I was saying how you preach according to the audience. This is who Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was working with. This guy on the right, I don't know, he's a Christian or Ram Krishna. And then you've got all these British guys, with the pit helmets and this and that, So just imagine. This is the man in the pit helmet is the governor of Bengal. Bengal at the time, Calcutta, it was called the second city of the British Empire. The first city, of course, being London. So the second city of the British Empire, the most beautiful and powerful city, was Calcutta. It was the capital. Later on they moved it to Delhi. But anyway, it's a long story. But it was the original capital. And it was the Bengal, East Bengal, West Bengal, Bangladesh, and Bangladesh. At the time, their gross national product was more than the combination of France and England. That's how opulent Bengal was. There's Lord Macaulay who traveled, I forget when it was, but he was sent by the British East Indian Company to figure out how to manage India, how are we going to conquer them, how are we going to control them. That's a whole other story. He traveled all over Bengal. He says, I did not find a single person in poverty. The place looked like a manicured garden. I can show you his letters. It's his report to Parliament. I mean, they're in the middle of Dickens' Industrial Revolution, people starving on the streets, and the fog combining with the industrial smoke was killing people. That was London. And he couldn't find a single poverty-stricken person because they were following Vedic Dharma. So here's, the story is that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur invited this governor of West Bengal, the British governor of West Bengal, outside of the viceroy, the most powerful man in India. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's reputation, we'll give a class on him sometime, was so powerful that he got the governor to come. Now, he was criticized. Why are you this man doesn't even take a shower after passing stool, and he's a meat eater, and he's a malecha from the West. Why are you bringing him to Navadvip? You're just pandering. You're just trying to get, praise from these malechas. He was criticized by other, Gaudiya Vaishnavas. You know what he said? For the governor to come, but it was very difficult to come to Navadvip from Calcutta because the road was it was basically a horse-drawn oxen cart road. It was pot-marked and it was a funky road. So for the governor to come, the governor took the government funds and improved the road. So he was getting all kinds of flack, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, criticism. We get criticized. Oh, you should just stay in Vrindavan. Why are you out there just selling books so hard and trying to run your Krishna lounge and all your different preaching programs? Why are you going out on Harinam? You should just be in Radhakund. You should just come to Vrindavan. That's where you'll become purified. And we hear that kind of stuff. Just be absorbed in higher leelas. You're absorbed in Dasya Leela, but we can take you to Madhurya Leela. Just come here and I'll tell you who you are in the Gopi Leela. So, he was criticized. But after the whole thing came and the beautiful road went in and the governor left, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur confided to his close associates, actually the governor was scratch. I wasn't interested in the governor, I just wanted to get the road, which he did. So this is this gives you an insight into the keen intelligence of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So before Prabhupada left for Mayapur, for the West, there's a famous story. The pujaris it happened at Advaitacharya's Bhavan, and it also happened at Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Samadhi. The pujari at the Samadhi was doing his puja one day, and he saw an elderly sannyasi just chanting japa, pouring his heart out and crying. Pujari looked and looked and looked. Finally said, I think I know this person. And he went up to Prabhupada and he said, I blew it. He went up to this elderly sannyasi and said, are you Abai Babu? Bhaktisiddhanta, Abai Babu? He said, yes, I am. And, they reintroduced himself. He said, why are you crying? He said, I am leaving for the West tomorrow. I'm getting on the Jaladuta. I'm sailing to the West. I'm going to this land where they do not know. They're prayer. They're in Boston Harbor. They're completely immersed in ignorance and passion. Prabhupada said he thought as soon as he introduced the four regular principles, the immigration department would say bye-bye and put him on the boat and send him back. So he was crying. He said, why are you crying? He said, my guru has given me an impossible mission. That's how Prabhupada was saying, but he's told me to do it. So, carrying that message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of all the previous acharyas, of all that transcendental wisdom. Prabhupada had it in his suitcase. One of the things he had in his suitcase? Anyone know? Bhagavatams, of course. What else? A few changes of clothes? Yes, what else? He had some oats. Because he didn't even know if he'd be able to get anything to eat. If he had some oats, he figured, well, I can keep myself going for a month. That was his first carry. I was listening to a tape. Prabhupada said, I figured I had a month's sponsorship at the Gupta residence, Gopal Agarwal. And Prabhupada said I could probably string himself out for another month. So when he got off the boat, they asked him, how long do you want? Prabhupada said, okay, 2 months. He had to figure out how long he could go. Just imagine. But I'll try. So My Guru has given me an impossible mission to deliver this sublime knowledge. This is my last slide. We have a chance to help Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas in the noble mission of delivering that message. What causeless good fortune we cannot even measure. All of this is behind us. All that weight, all that knowledge, and we are carrying it in these books. I just wanted to mention, you see the black devotee? You see the devotee next to him with glasses? You know who that is? No, what does it say, man? Yamunapati, I mean, how big are him? That's Yamunapati Prabhu. This is in Detroit. This is in the garden of Devasiddhanta Mandir. And all the Radha Damodar parties was there. I was there. I was back with Govardhan. It's a long story. We were lining everybody up. So, but this is Prabhupada. Vishnu Jan Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, 6 buses crisscrossing across America. I don't know how many vans, 15 to 20 vans distributing books. He'd just gotten the Devasiddhanta Mandir, that beautiful temple. And here's Prabhupada sitting in the garden. And right there in the back is Jamunapati Prabhu. So we can end there. Went the wrong way. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for sitting so patiently. So that's a little background on Madhvacharya.